Oh, wait, okay. Yeah, I just made a mistake with the title, guys. I made sure to change it, though. Okay. Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. I hope everyone's having a great Friday today. Hey, everyone. Hey, Smut. Okay. Okay. Let's go over to the ranch here. I'm playing with my, oh, hey, Pebor, did you guys get a notification for the stream today? I'm playing, with one of my friends. Hey, Ferris, I hope you're having a great Friday as well. Hey, Eric, happy Friday as well to you, dude. Hey, Bagel. How's it going? Pro, it's going good. How are you, dude? I missed. What did Canadian Prime Minister do that pissed you off? Wait, what are you talking about, Suppressor? Thank you for the super chat. Did not get a notification on YouTube, but I did on Twitter. Okay. Hey, Kane. How you doing, dude? Hey, Julio. Something in Canada pissed you off about some veteran? I missed it. Oh, no, you're, what that was... I was talking about something that happened a couple years ago, not the current guy in power, but a couple years earlier. Basically, the Canadian Prime Minister's happened like 2 or 3 years ago. He invited a Nazi to the Canadian Parliament. And that's what really pissed me off. That's what I was, what I was complaining about. What really made me mad was that. What's in here? Nothing. Okay. Hey, God's child. Ghost of Lotte stream next month in 25 days, March 10th. Also, thoughts on Wolverine release date? aim to be around Q3 this year. Well, they're gonna want to release it before GTA 6. They're definitely not gonna want to release it around that. But yeah, I could do a stream of Ghost of Yotei Legends. We could do that definitely. Yeah. I might take a break from Yakuza, Elijah, because I did 2 Yakuza games in a row. I did, you know, Yakuza Kiwami 1 and Kiwami 2. And then I might take a break and then just come back and do Yakuza Remastered 3. Yeah, I'll play the new James Bond game. I think I found him. Yeah, I found both of them.
Ain't nothing doing here. Hey, wait! Here they is! You better turn heel right now, you hear me? Quit it! Hey, to me! No! Let's scram! Stop, damn you! Good God! I'm gonna string you to the nearest tree with this goddamn rope.
So they changed something significant in the story you're saying for Kiwami 3. Yeah, what I might do is I might do 50 Cent Blood in the Sand. That's what I might do next.
Let's hope I don't get myself free. Ugly son of a bitch.
I will have that video for you on next Saturday, Mr. Green, I promise. Not tomorrow, but for next one, I promise. Next Saturday, it'll be out. Is it okay to buy a PS5 on Facebook? Yeah, there's nothing wrong with doing that. Just make sure the PS5 is working. That's what I would do is just tell the guy, like, I want to test this to make sure that it's working. You don't even have to go into his house or anything like that. You could bring over, like, your own portable TV and just, like, you know, from your car, just plug it in and just make sure that everything's working fine. And if everything's working fine, you know, you just buy it. Well, I would like to do Blood on the Sand, but I can do Bulletproof also one day, too. Thank you, Sleep, Punch Man. I started playing GTA Online on PC. I got the starter pack on Steam for a whole bundle for $15. Started with the bunker, feels so slow compared to PS5. Oh, okay. Thank you for the super chat, Sleep Punch Man. And thank you, Golden Stripes, for being a member of my channel. Thank you, dude. You watched State of Play? Not really. No, the only thing I saw was I saw the trailer for Ghost of Yote, that one. Didn't get a notification for the stream. Yes, sometimes my notifications aren't going out. Read previous comment, Patrick. Video suggestion. What QC, suppressor? Let me see. Maybe suppressor. I'm just thinking about what I want to do still. What rating would I give Mercenaries 2? Mercenaries 2? 8 out of 10. Generally a good game. Rayman, maybe one day. I used to play those games when I was a kid. I used to play the Rayman games. Do I watch Forgotten Weapons? Yes, Ian from Forgotten Weapons. I've seen his channel before.
I ain't want no part of that.
Wait, what's up, Suggesta?
Well, I'm gonna haunt you like a ghost.
Okay, Ride to Hell Retribution before GTA 6? Yes. Yes, I'm gonna do that. That one. Sorry I couldn't join your Red Dead lobby today. I'm out of town for the week. Boss gave me a break. Hope to spend Valentine's Day with my girlfriend tomorrow. Thank you, Ferris. Thank you for the super chat. I hope that you guys have a great Valentine's Day. Yes, Gunner, I did. I can play Angry Bird Star Wars. I've never actually even played the Angry Bird games. Yeah, I didn't like Hudson's Death and Black Ops 2, Johnny. Have you ever watched Last of the Mohicans? It's a awesome movie. That's the movie about the French and Indian War, right? In the 1750s. I think I know what you're talking about. Has Discord implemented that ID thing yet? I know they've talked about it, but have they implemented it yet?
Good to see you again.
How many hats do you have? Like, cowboy hats too.
This is embarrassing. If I can't deal with
Did I watch Lord of War? Yes. Lord of War was one of the best movies ever made. But here's the thing. Lord of War 2 is coming out. It's actually being produced.
No, I never claimed to be no smart man, so excuse me if I ain't clever enough to figure out when this place has got me beat. So if you just help me with the grizzly, so I can keep on living out here until some even bigger beast comes along, proves to be my better.
When Sweden actually occupied Poland, Gunner, they killed so many people. Like, there was really so many massacres. It was really bad.
Thanks.
Like, Sweden was very brutal in its occupation of Poland. That was in the 17th century when that happened. In early March, they're going to implement the ID requirement. And what's going to happen then, Assassin Wolf? No, I haven't, Mac. Do I play Team Fortress 2? No, I think I have that game on Steam, but I've almost never played it, Sleep Punch Man. It was just a really dark time in Poland's history, Gunner. YouTube didn't notify me you were streaming. Yeah, that sometimes happens. I played Borderlands. Yeah, I played it once a little bit, but I haven't. I never got into it. No. Dragon Fury, I will be honest with you, dude. I have pretty much given up on doing anything related to movies or TV shows on the channel, and the reason for that is because anytime I literally talk about anything with like movies or TV shows, that I get copyright claimed. The only time that I mean, I could do it where I don't show any footage and I just give my thoughts, but yeah, that's why it's so annoying to review like movies or TV shows, is because you're constantly fighting copyright claims. "25 months, wow. A lot of months. You should check out a mod for GTA Liberty City Stories. It's called Sindako Chronicles. Also enjoying the Yakuza playthrough." Yeah, and I want to do all of those, and I also want to do GTA Vice City Next Gen before GTA 6 comes out. Yeah, God of War's a requested game. I could play it too. Was it true the British cavalry was superior to the Continental cavalry in the early days of the Revolutionary War? Yeah, pretty much true. I mean, Britain was an organized fighting force. We weren't really an organized fighting force at the start of the war. So are we excited for the Max Payne remakes? Will you do a playthrough on release day when it's announced? Oh yeah, 100%. 100% I'll do a playthroughs of those games, definitely. Maybe, yeah, that might be a good video to do, talking about Mercenaries 3 and what we could have had. Thank you, somebody, for the super chat also. Yeah, a lot of people didn't get notifications today. Yeah, Call of Duty World at War, I think, is the best one. Oh crap, I shot it and it's still going. Okay, now I got it. Have I ever watched The Incredibles? The first movie I think I seen when I was a kid a long time ago. Do I have trust issues? Maybe to a degree. But once I get to know someone, I don't really have them anymore. But I will say something is, and this is what people don't talk about. This is what I don't think a lot of people talk about, but I think it needs to be said. Is people say that being too trustworthy is very dangerous, and that's true. Being trustworthy is very dangerous. But here's the thing about this also, what people don't tell you. Not trusting anyone is just as dangerous as trusting everyone, if you understand what I mean, just in a different way. So that's what people don't really tell you, is that they don't tell you that, you know, is trusting everybody dangerous? Sure. But not trusting everyone is just as dangerous as trusting everyone. Thank you, General's alert for the super chat. Mercenaries 2, I still do want to do it as a playthrough. If you don't trust people, who are your real friends? Yeah, exactly. It's like you become paranoid. Yep, look at, yeah, Salvatore's a perfect example of that. What do you think about Kazimir Pulaski? He was considered the father of the American cavalry. He died in the Southern Campaign in the Revolutionary War. I think he died in Savannah, Georgia. I think that's where he died. Do I think Syndrome is a psychopath? Who? What's that, arcade gamer? What do you want to tell me that's cool? The GTA PvP video, I'm trying to get it out this weekend, Fred. I've already started working on it. Probably on Sunday. I don't have enough energy to finish it tonight, but probably on Sunday I'll put it out. Oh, I don't know if I remember him, Joey, then. They should release Max Payne 3 when they release the 1 and 2 remakes on PS5. Max Payne 3 still holds up incredibly well. Will I do any lore videos on Yakuza, like character-specific ones? Maybe more in shorts format for Yakuza, but I haven't played enough of the Yakuza games to really do lore videos on them. I think I should play the majority of them before I do anything like that. But yes, Max Payne 3 just needs an HD release on PS5, and that'll be perfect. Thank you, Golden.
I was wondering when you were going to get here. This is a good batch, of course. They are all good batches, but this
Signalis, what game is that again?
I have found a buyer who will appreciate it.
Do you think shotgun's range in Kane and Lynch are realistic? Yes, somewhat, more than in other games. A pretty realistic depiction of, shotgun accuracy is in Hell Let Loose. When you shoot the trench gun, that's pretty realistic, accuracy for a shotgun. Yeah, a passenger should be able to shoot an assault rifle from a car. Yeah, I agree with you on that. That was one of the cool features about Saints Row, is that in Saints Row, passengers could shoot assault rifles out of vehicles. Are shotguns supposed to be short range or long range? Neither, really. Neither short range or long range. Shotguns can go up for hundreds of meters. That's what people don't know about them. I will announce it soon on the weekend, Ferris. I'll announce the dates on the weekend. Professional, tomorrow I got a date with a cheese deluxe. For Valentine's Day. Well, have a good Valentine's Day, Visionary. Battlefield Hardline, that's a game I want to do a playthrough of, yes. I mix my 10-hour job with my college schedule and homework time. Worst mistake of my life in the past months. Yeah, because you can get overwhelmed. I used to do the same thing back in the day, Cube.
Bureau search. Checking for illicit liquor. What are you up to? I wonder.
But yeah, Red Dead Redemption 2's graphics still hold up to this day. They're amazing graphics.
Let's see what we've got here. Fine. Clear the road. Go down there. Stop that wagon.
They told me to clear the road, and... Thank you, Cube. The worst video game I played, probably Brink. When 007 comes out, would you help unboxing both the collector's editions? And yes, there's two, but guess what? There's a disc. Dev's gotta take notes. Oh, what's the difference between the two collector's editions, Blinded Eagle? A Minecraft playthrough? I didn't even know that Minecraft was a story mode. I thought it was just a game where you build stuff. Thank you, somebody32, for the super chat. What factions would I like to see in Hardline 2? The cartels, DEA, FBI, the Mexican Army, Mexican Police, CBP. Yeah. I would, but unfortunately, though, they're never going to go back to Hardline, though. I can't ever see them in Battlefield doing that. But I like Hardline because it was a different change of pace. Is it true European monarchs were terrified when the Bolsheviks killed Nicholas, and they were afraid the same thing would happen to them? Oh yeah, 100%. They were afraid of communist revolution spreading all over. And it wasn't just monarchies, everyone in general was just scared of that happening. My favorite first-person shooter, World at War. I would like to see a mission where you could go to Liberty City. I mean, Lucia is originally from Liberty City. We might have like a mission like that in GTA 6. Oh, I guess I just didn't want to compare it too much to another game. I guess I just didn't bring it up. Then Gunner. Is Rockstar gonna parody me in GTA 6? I don't think so, but if they did, that'd be an honor.
So you're back around, eh? Looking for work? You are becoming quite indispensable now, aren't you? Well then,
Paid killing.
I ain't gonna dress this up for you. No, sir. Don't see no.
I think they should have done Hell Let Loose in Korea, but they're doing Vietnam, so I'm still excited for it.
Hope you can appreciate that. Yes, I do.
Well, it depends. Parody can fall under fair use, though, Minion.
Feller's what needs it doing to. Awful bunch they are. But they won't be for very long. Not if you honor your side of this bargain. All right, then.
Take one alive, and we'll hold on to him. Who do I want to be the main antagonist in Battlefield 7? Probably the CIA. Because it's found out what they did with Pax. They helped create Pax Armada. How do you do old man's voice? Pat GTA suggestion. Thank you for the super chat, Vertigo, but I can't really explain how I do it. I'm just used to it. Hi, I'm late. You're not late, April. Come by whenever you want. I was so looking forward to a Scarface 2. I didn't even know that Scarface 2 existed until years later. No, I haven't seen it, Zach. Yeah, but Korea was a giant war also, Mason. You have to remember that. Do I play Wolfenstein series? I played, the 2014 one. Yes, he was, Adrian, that's true. Red Dead 3 is not going to come out for years. I don't think so for years. Hold on, guys. I'm just going to go to the bathroom. I will be right back. Give me 1 minute here. Okay, here we go. Okay. Am I excited about Elder Scrolls 6? Oh yeah, of course. Looking forward to it, but I don't think we're gonna get news of it anytime soon. I will announce the dates this week. Witness, what the hell? Investigating. Damn it. Okay, I think I got him there. I don't know why Witness is coming over here and investigating this stuff. Signalis, you said. I'll look into that one. That seems interesting. Oh, you guys see that shot there? It's probably one of my longest shots. Oh yeah, this game definitely needs 60 FPS support. The race mission, oh yeah, it's the worst in Mafia Definitive Edition. It just sucks. It's terrible. Any tips for me getting a job? I'm only 20 years old. I would say try to maybe apply to retail, stores. There might be warehouse jobs that you can get to. And also make sure one thing to know about your first job does not define you. You know, that's not the job that you're going to be stuck with for the rest of your life, so just keep that in mind. Glad there's your stream to watch for the rest of my shift. Well, thank you, thank you, Daredevil. Hello from Finland. Oh, hello, Verticor. How are you, dude? Hey, Jacket. How you doing, man? Part-time job, you mean? It doesn't always have to be a part-time job. It can be a full-time job, and... Yes, I just haven't figured out on the day. Do I have you added, Visionary? The only difference besides price is the physical contents included. Okay. Best open world game in your opinion? Saints Row 2. Okay, Zach. When did it come out? Shut up, you mediocre clarinet player. That's from SpongeBob. I remember Plankton says that when he takes control of SpongeBob. Oh, okay, Zach. Best story in a game, your opinion? Oh, that'd be hard to answer. Maybe GTA 4 or Red Dead Redemption 2. I really don't care what political views someone has, Arcade. So, it really does not matter to me, so you're good, dude. I do like working on YouTube 3BG. Starship Troopers was the foundation for Helldivers 2. That I did not know. The Warriors, yes, that's one game I gotta play. Who do you think was the most evil conquistador that ever lived? Cortez. Cortez was the worst one. Have I played DayZ? I have it. I have it on console. I've played it a bit, yeah. Oh yeah, so nice. You know, SpongeBob and Patrick are annoying. When we were kids, we kind of didn't like Squidward, but when we get older, we kind of fully understand him. A little bit nervous about getting my first job. Yeah. Why parents? Will you say you want to work at retail? They can say you count money like you're stupid. Wait, what, D? Bro, why don't you answer me? What's your question, Mac? Oh, you're asking me if I played Zelda? No. Never played the Zelda games. Oh yeah, SpongeBob and Patrick definitely did get, you know, more annoying. I'm doing good, Brent. No, I haven't been going in some time, Ferris. Wait, D, can you explain a little bit more? What are you talking about, dude? Yeah, the difference between Mr. Krabs and Plankton is at least Mr. Plankton is honest about who he is. Mr. Krabs isn't. That's the guy right there. I see him, okay. Do you need any licenses to run rental properties like you do? It highly depends on the state. It depends on the state that I'm in. No, you'd only need a permit. Damn, how did I miss that shot? Well, the backstory about the Hessians is that the Hessians weren't really mercenaries. It was more their leaders that were mercenaries. They were just serving their lord. Damn. One course meal is the most hated SpongeBob episode. Which one is that one? I thought the most hated SpongeBob episode was the Black Lemonade episode. Yeah, the old Call of Duty games used to be so good. I don't know what, what's wrong with them. What happened now? I'm probably going to. I want to play the Metal Gear Solid games when the remaster comes out. Plankton once called Mr. Krabs evil in an episode where he made SpongeBob print a newspaper with lies on it about the whole time. Mr. Krabs would do so many bad things, just as many things as Plankton.
There's something peaceful about this kind of shit. All right, I'll gather your thumb. Toss him in a cell if you don't mind.
What do you mean, D? I think the Black Lemonade episode is probably the worst SpongeBob episode. Well, everybody's first job is their first job, D. They don't need to be shamed over it. You play any SpongeBob games? Battle for Bikini Bottom, I played that one.
Oh, come the hell on.
What game will we be streaming on Wednesday? Are we getting another Yakuza stream? On Wednesday? I haven't decided. Maybe I'll continue 100% on Yakuza Kiwami. Well, retail, you might be put in that toxic environment, though. That's what I'll tell you about that, LOL. It just might happen.
Bring you to the nearest tree with this goddamn rope.
Like, parents will say their child is stupid for not learning how to count money when they try to work retail to test you like you're stupid. Some parents, no matter what their kids are doing, it's never good enough for them.
Oh, hell no. This is too crazy even for me. What's the matter with you?
No, I haven't, Liberty City Police Department. Is there a specific one you want me to react to, like the title of it? What happened to your Mr. K lore video? What do you mean? It's still up? Did it get removed or something? Age restricted? What the hell? My Mr. K video got age restricted. My video got age restricted for inappropriate language? What?
Best thing I ever learned from being the law. Never start a fight against them. No doubt.
Oh, for the love of God.
Yeah, there's nothing I can do about it. I can't even appeal it. What's the title of it called? Liberty City Police Department? It's still up, it's just age restricted, so if you don't have a YouTube account, you can't watch it. I want like a part-time full job or something, depending how much they pay. Well, I mean, you can work in retail. That'll probably be the easiest place to get a job in, but they are... They can be really nasty to you, and that job can take a massive toll on your health. You have the best content. Thank you, Phoenix. How would your mom react if she saw the scene, Agent Donovan throw the cigarette to the holy water? Oh, she would get pretty mad. My mom is a pretty religious person, so she'd get mad at that. It was just made like that after World War I. Gunner. There was a Polish post office in the city, but the police in the city were mostly Germans. I know that. When a video is age restricted, do you not make any money off of it? I still make some money, but it's barely anything. It's like more than 90% of the ad revenue goes away. Lalo's such a psycho in Better Call Saul. He's a great villain in outside and charismatic man, and inside a cold-blooded sociopath like his uncle and others, cousins. Lalo might actually be a psychopath. That's the thing about him. He does show some love for his uncle, so maybe not, but he is a very messed up person. Everyone like a professional's stream and support him by joining his membership. Thank you, Arcade Gamer. Which one will I pick to replay the game? Call of Duty Black Ops 7 or GTA Definitive Edition with buggy and glitchy version? I'd honestly rather play GTA Definitive Edition than play Call of Duty Black Ops 7 again. GTA Definitive Edition, even without the patches, I'd like to play that over Black Ops 7. Lalo is also the only one who speaks proper Spanish. Yeah, I know that Gus's voice actor, for example, people said his Spanish wasn't the best. Would I compare Donovan from Mafia 3 to Jordy from Watch Dogs? They both have sociopathic tendencies somewhat. Maybe, but Donovan is very loyal. Donovan doesn't betray Lincoln where Jordy does. Come on, Pat, play Mass Effect. Oh, hey, Lost Cause Clown. Thank you for being a member of my channel for 9 months. One day I could do a playthrough of them. I know they're RPG-like focus games, so that would be kind of fun to do a playthrough of. Well, yeah, that campaign was just terrible, Minion Dave. Sergeant Hartman in Full Metal Jacket, he kind of went a bit too far, Lewis. The scummiest CIA character in a Call of Duty game? I'm not sure. I had to think about that one. Well, for Lalo, everybody who's not in his family is fair game. Remember when Pat climbed the pier to chase after Ryder, and then he flew towards the beach and died? Yes, that was the most ridiculous glitch I think I've probably had happen to me on a live stream. That was just terrible. Have I ever played Saints Row 4? Yes, I beat it too. I just haven't played it on the channel. What game are you playing next for the playthrough? I might do 50 Cent Blood in the Sand. Do you know that Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4 will be the first Call of Duty to release only on next gen? Really? It's only going to be on next gen, so it's not going to be on last gen at all. Really? That's interesting. Can you post your comment again, Zach? Have I played the Saints Row reboot? Yes, I did a full playthrough of it, and that game was terrible. A difference between a psychopath and a sociopath. A sociopath at least has some feelings for others, but largely uses other people. Like, a sociopath can still technically, I guess, care about their family, but a psychopath has no empathy for anyone. They're not going to love anyone, not even their parents. Well, Hartman took things way too far in Full Metal Jacket. Well, no, she doesn't regret it, Jonathan, because she's, you know, she came to this country for a better life. Have I seen a video of an Iraqi guy who throws shoes at George W. Bush? Yes, that happened, like, 2 decades ago, actually, when that happened, and that was an Iraqi reporter. That was like memed really badly. People made that into memes. Do I know the lore of Call of Duty Ghosts? Well, a little bit. I would have to replay it to remember a lot of the lore, but yeah, I do remember it. The Federation's that unified South American country that ends up attacking America. I was 9 when a shoe got thrown at me. I was 9 when a shoe got thrown at Bush. I'm sorry. I haven't played games about it as a kid. It was hilarious. Yeah, a lot of people made fun of that. Yeah, I remember all the parodies that came up when that happened. No, I don't remember the first YouTube video I ever watched. Oh yeah, you're right, the horse is being a little hurt by it. You look tired, Pat. Did you not sleep well the other day? Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I don't know, like I did sleep, but it's like the last few days, guys, I don't know what's been happening. It's like I just wake up in the middle of the night and then I go back to sleep, and then I wake up again, and it's just been happening the last few weeks. I thought Jenny cut ties with Kane when he said she hasn't spoken to me since Venezuela, when Kane and Lynch were at the ports being pursued by the Chinese army. Well, he still had some contact with Jenny, though. It might be a little bit of the jet lag, because there's an hour difference between, you know, the Midwest and New York. So, yeah, that's... Oh, thank you, Jonathan Reagan. You might be stressed, Patrick. Take it easy. Well, thank you, Ferris. No, I'm good. I always do these streams for about 2 hours. You should play Wolfenstein games if you're interested. Yes, there's a bunch of different games I want to play. I want to play also Freedom Fighters. That's one game I want to play too. In the canceled Kane and Lynch movie, it was supposed to be, I remember, Bruce Willis was supposed to be Kane, and that was when Bruce Willis was, you know, a lot younger, so over 20 years ago. I think that Bruce Willis would have done a great job as Kane, I do. And then Lynch was supposed to be Jamie Foxx, but I think choosing Jamie Foxx for Lynch is just weird, because Jamie Foxx is not that type of guy to really play psychotic characters. You need, like, a really psychotic actor to play, like, Lynch. I think Trevor would have been, or Stephen Ogg, I should say, he would have been a perfect actor for Lynch. Ned Luke probably could do Kane as well. I could picture that. Yeah, I could picture him doing Kane. I want a new Killzone game. I really do, Drifter kids. Yeah. I should. I have a really nasty habit of that, of eating after streams, and I really shouldn't do that. I should do it I should do it before streams. You know something, I bought these, I bought, a bunch of burritos from the supermarket the other day. And the burritos that I bought from the supermarket, they were fresh, you know, you just cook them, in the oven. And, these burritos, they weren't even, like, really spicy, but I ate them and they tasted good. But then, like, an hour afterwards, I just had, like, pretty bad heartburn. I didn't think that it was from the burrito at first, but then, you know, yesterday I had another burrito, I cooked it, a second one, and I had it, and then, you know, within like half an hour to an hour, I started having heartburn again, so I was like, oh, it's because of the burrito. And that is not a pleasant feeling to have. Why don't you play in public games so more of us can join? I am in a public game right now. You can join me. I just can't do it on GTA, because on GTA I'm going to get griefed really bad. But I will tell you guys something. I hope that when GTA 6 comes out, that they have the option to host your own private server. Like, your own private server. Like, I would really like that. And it's different than, like, the invite-only lobby. It's different. Because you would have, like, admin powers. I would like to see stuff like that. Not for, like, cheating or, like, you know, abusing businesses and stuff like that, but just for, in general, like, controlling the server. I will tell you this. If there was, like, you know, servers that you can actually own, like, I would buy my own server on GTA 6. Like, I would. Like, I would actually buy my own server. I would pay for it. And then what I would do is I would make, like, all my moderators, like, admins on that server. And then what would happen is, you know, I would have the server just public. So anyone can join me at any time and just play and hang out. But the moment I have somebody that comes in and just, you know, starts griefing, you know, talking crap, doing, like, dumb things, banned. Just get them out of the lobby right away. No, but here's what you don't understand, also, too. The burrito that I ate, it was not spicy at all. It was not. There was nothing spicy in that food. And then, like, within an hour, I had pretty bad heartburn. And then the next day, I ate that burrito, a second burrito. It was the same type of burrito, but it was a second one. And I ate it, and again, within an hour, I had pretty bad heartburn again. Like, if someone agrees to get kicked out instantly, or a warning if it's an accident, if it's an accident, they're not gonna get, you know, kicked out. But if they're griefing, yeah, throw them out. Peter Stormare? Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, he could probably do Lynch too. You should get some medicine for heartburn. Yeah, I didn't have it. Does anybody here in the what's heartburn? It's when you feel like this pain in your heart area, like right after you eat. That's basically what it is. I'm not a doctor, but for the most part, I don't think it's dangerous. It's just a nuisance when it happens. It's usually in reaction to certain foods. Does anybody know by any chance in the comments why did I have heartburn after I ate that burrito? The food wasn't even spicy. It wasn't even. Like, there was nothing spicy in the food, but I still had it. And I eat plenty of spicy foods and I never have heartburn. But I had it from that. And I know it's from the burrito. I know it is. Because the next day I had the burrito, a second burrito, and it happened again. So it's that. And I have another burrito in my fridge. Another one. So I have one more left. They're really good. They're really tasty. But I don't know if I want to eat it. I might just throw it out. Because I don't want to go through that again. Salty, you're saying? Or acidity? Hey Emily, stomach acid splashing against your upper stomach valve. That's near your heart. Your body was trying to digest frozen, preserved crud. Well, it wasn't frozen. The burritos were fresh, but I guess that might be it too. I laid down when I had the heartburn. I couldn't sit in this chair, so I laid down when I had it. Thoughts on RFK saying he used to snort coke while on a toilet? What? If I ever design a tank, would I prioritize... firepower and armor, or would I design it to operate... easy to operate and repair? Probably easy to repair, because the Sherman tank... The Sherman tank, for example, I think that the Sherman tank was probably the best tank of World War II. There's a really big debate on what the best tank is, but I think the Sherman tank is the best one because the Sherman tank was very simple. It was easy to repair. All the parts were available. And also the thing about the Sherman is that the Sherman, I think, was the only tank in World War II that had an escape hatch on the bottom. So, you know, in the movie Fury, at the very end of the movie when he escapes from the bottom of the tank, that was very much a real thing. And I don't think there was any other tank in World War II, correct me if I'm wrong, that had an escape hatch in the bottom. You know what that shows? That shows that the U.S. prioritized the survival of their crew members. So they prioritized the survival of their crew members over weapons. That's what the, I guess it shows you at least with the American tank. You know, one game that I'm going to do a playthrough of that I think a lot of you guys are really going to like? I'm going to do a playthrough of this game called Ace Combat Zero next month. Does anyone know that game? Ace Combat Zero? But I'm going to be doing it on the 20-year anniversary, I mean next month. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Ace Combat Zero is one of the best Ace Combat games. It has a really good story, and it's a very anti-war game, like very, very anti-war. So I think that will be a lot of fun when we do that one. What's your favorite place to visit in Poland? One place that I really want to visit in Poland the next time I go, I want to visit this town called Zakopane. Zakopane is a mountain town in Poland. It's in the mountains. A lot of people think that Poland does not have tall mountains, but Zakopane is pretty tall. Sit uprights for 30 minutes after eating. Thank you, bud. I appreciate that. Heroin or meth? Which drug is much worse? I think heroin. Yeah, probably heroin. The thing about that is that you know something. As a peace activist, I love a good anti-war game. The future needs more conscientious objectors. The thing about Ace Combat Zero. Is that in that game, you're not really playing as a good person, though. That's the thing about it, Emily. So just like, I would give the game a chance when you watch the game, the playthrough of the game, but that game is not a pro-war game that he made. Like, the story in that game is very anti-war. And this is one thing people don't know, like, the Mercenary series, like Mercenaries 1 and 2, the Mercenaries games are very anti-war. Very, very anti-war, very anti-imperialist. They show like how all these factions have like their ulterior motives in war. So it's not a pro-war game at any means. There's one mission in Ace Combat Zero it's a pretty disturbing mission. It's called the Inferno. And in that mission, you're basically committing a war crime. The character that you're playing as in Ace Combat Zero is a mercenary pilot, so it's an air combat game. The countries are fictional, so they're not real countries. They're in the Ace Combat world. But the guy you're playing as is a mercenary pilot for Ustio. It's a country that got attacked by Belka. Belka is based on Nazi Germany in the Ace Combat world, but basically in the game there's one mission where there's a Balkan city. And the Allied forces just start dropping incendiary bombs all over the city, just burning the city. And there's these yellow targets that are on your map. And the yellow targets are like fuel depots, factories, bridges, trucks that are escaping, helicopters that are escaping that aren't armed, planes that aren't armed that are escaping. And those are all mostly civilians. And you get points for killing them. So you get literally points for killing the civilians escaping the war zone. But that is, it's like a really disturbing mission. And when you actually kill the civilians in that mission, you actually hear, like, them screaming on the ground and stuff like that. It's a pretty disturbing mission. But that game was, like, very good in its anti-war message. Very, very well done. When I play the game, you guys gotta check it out. But, the really crazy thing about that game, about Ace Combat Zero, in Ace Combat Zero, there's this one super weapon that Belka has, and it's this giant tower that connects to a satellite in orbit, and the satellite can fire lasers down on Earth. And the lasers can basically shoot any plane out of the sky. Now, as ridiculous as that super weapon is, it's actually based on a real-life Nazi super weapon. Yes, the Nazis actually planned on building a satellite in space that was actually a super weapon. And it wasn't actually a laser. It was actually called the Sun Gun. Now, for people that don't know what the Sun Gun was a giant space station that the Nazis had planned to build, and this space station would have people on it. And the space station was over 1 kilometer long, so this was a very large space station. And it had a kilometer-long mirror, and how it would basically work is that the people on the station would adjust the mirror to reflect towards the sun, and then it would just reflect that light back on the Earth. Basically, think of a magnifying glass against ants. Think about what that does. It's basically the exact same concept, but in a super weapon, in a giant satellite in space with a mirror. And so the idea of this Nazi weapon is that they would basically utilize the power of the sun to basically just fire these beams of sunlight, like extreme rays, down on the Earth. And what this would do is this would instantly set buildings on fire. It would set buildings on fire, burn down cities. If it hit a person directly, it would set your clothes and your hair on fire instantly. You would die within a few seconds. You would just die being burned to death. It's a really disturbing weapon when you think about it. They never actually started building this weapon. They never did. But they had plans for the weapon. The Americans discovered the plans for it. There is one picture that you can see on Google of what the weapon would have looked like, theoretically. It's pretty disturbing, this giant space station that's a weapon. But the Nazis actually planned on building this as a weapon in the 70s and the 80s. Because the Nazis had planned on doing space exploration. They planned on that. They planned on, going to the moon and a lot of that other stuff. But that was in the future. They thought that their empire would last for 1,000 years. The 1,000-year Reich. They didn't think that their empire would collapse during World War II. So they never made an attempt to make the sun gun during World War II. But that was a plan that they had in the future. But, imagine how scary that was. Being able to use the sun as a weapon to just burn targets on Earth. That is a extremely disturbing thing. And that's really ironic when you think about it, too. Because the sun is the thing that gives life to everything. Without the sun, there would be no life. And so you're taking something that basically has created life for everything and turning it into a weapon of destruction. That is one of the most evil things that I can think about. But yeah, that's what the sun gun was. And the Excalibur super weapon in Ace Combat 0 that Belka uses, it's based on the sun gun. That's what that is, basically. Oh yeah, I'll play the true crime games one day. Oh, well, I'm gonna play that game later this year, Gunner. What are we selling, General? Hey, Patrick, unfortunately, I won't be able to watch your stream for too long because I have to get some sleep so I can go to work tomorrow morning. Oh, okay, Isaiah. Well, thank you for the super chat, dude. Thank you, man. Tips for starting a YouTube channel. Be yourself. Don't try to create a persona. Just be yourself. Have fun with it. If people like your content, you'll grow over time. Can I read and understand Croatian? No. No. That I don't know that. But I heard that Croatian and Serbian are very similar languages. I actually didn't know that. I thought they were very different apart. I heard if the sun was to explode, we wouldn't notice it for 8 minutes. Do you think that's true? I'm not sure, dude. Hey, Reese. What's up, man? How well do you know Polish? I can speak Polish pretty fluently, but I cannot read it that well. Like reading, I can read if I'm going really slow, but I can't read that well. No. You know, the thing is, I haven't been to Poland in 15 years. The last time I went was 2010. I actually planned on visiting Poland this year. I did. But I wanted to go to Poland for the Independence Day parade. And that was because Independence Day is the biggest, holiday in Poland, and I've always wanted to really see Independence Day in Poland. But Independence Day is in November. And the thing about that is, I had plans to originally go to Poland, but because GTA 6 got pushed back to November, I'm not going to go this year. Because I can't. I have to cover GTA 6 when that's coming out. I have to work on that and do that. So that basically, ruined my plans for visiting Poland this year. But I'll visit Poland next year. So the next year, November 2027 is when I'll visit it. Can you understand or read Czech and Slovak? One of my friends is Czech American. I don't know him in real life. I play with him on DMZ. On Modern Warfare 2, we play DMZ a lot. And I've heard him speaking Czech in the background. And I'm able to make out a bunch of words. But if you're to ask me, do I understand what he's fully saying? No. November, yes, will be a very busy month for me. I was reading a book about a Cardinal Alojzij Stepinac. He was a Croatian who resisted the Nazis, fascists, and communists. He was poisoned in prison for being a priest who defended his people. Oh, the people. Oh man, that's really sad. It's similar to the story of the Polish priest. What was his name? Damn, I should know this. I should know this history. There was a Polish priest that was famous for resisting the Nazis. Damn, I can't remember his name right now. Hold on a second. Let me Google him. I'll Google the Polish priest. I should come up. Maximilian Kolbe. That was him. Maximilian Kolbe. He was a Polish priest who resisted the Nazis. That was a guy. And the thing about this is, this is something that people really don't know about. Is that they don't know the Nazis hated Catholics. Like, they went after Catholics. Like, if you look at how Nazi Germany treated the Catholic Church in Poland, like, they completely destroyed the Catholic Church in Poland. Like, churches were routinely destroyed, priests were routinely executed. That was so a lot of people, they don't know that. They don't know that whole history. There was even a concentration camp that was actually specifically set up just for Catholic priests. And about Maximilian Kolbe, he was a Polish Catholic priest that was arrested. He was sent to a concentration camp, and there was a Polish guy that was going to be executed, and he was begging the SS officer not to kill him, saying that he has a family. And the Polish priest said that he'll take his place. He said that he's old, and he said, let the young work. I'll take his place. He ended up taking that guy's place. The young guy ended up surviving. So the guy that he, took his place for, he ended up surviving. The Polish priest, though, what the Nazis tried to do is they tried to starve him out. And it was like after 3 weeks, he was still alive after 3 weeks. And they got so mad that he was still alive that they poisoned him to death. It's a really horrible story. That guy is the patron saint of Poland, by the way. He is the official saint of Poland. He's the Vatican, I know, they made him into a saint. Is here. Yeah, one day I could play them, Gunner. How do you feel like the alternate history of the Nazis dominating the world? For example, like in Wolfenstein, A New Colossus, and Nazi-occupied America. The thing about that is that the Nazis never had the resources to invade they never really had the resources to invade America. That really didn't happen. You know, do you know what the closest that the Nazis got to invading America is? I'll tell you guys this. What happened was Hitler had developed this really stupid bomber with Göring. And the really stupid bomber, it was called the America bomber. I think only 1 or 2 was ever made. But if you just go on Google and type in America bomber German plane, you'll see a picture of it, and it's this giant plane. Like, it's huge. It's massive. And basically, this plane had enough fuel to cross the entire Atlantic Ocean and apparently come back. So I don't know the planes that well, but this was apparently Hitler's solution to stopping America's war production. So he wanted to make this giant bomber that can cross the entire Atlantic Ocean, bomb the American factories in New York, and then fly back to Germany. That was basically Hitler's, solution to stop America's munitions. And it was stupid. It was because, like, the amount of resources to, like, create a plane like that, and on top of that, a plane like that is a giant target, like a giant plane. Like, that thing is easy to shoot down because it's how big it is. It's a waste of resources, it's a waste of money, and not all American factories are in New York. And this is what, was about Hitler, is Hitler was an idiot. Like, he was a complete moron. Like, people think that Hitler was like this tactical genius. The only thing that Hitler might have been smart in is he might have been smart in politics, because he was able to manipulate his way to the top. He was able to, get basically all the way to the top and just basically turn himself into a dictator. So when it came to politics and like just manipulating things and people and taking power, sure, he might have been smart in that regard. But when it came to actual military strategy, the guy was a moron. The guy was an idiot. Like, the guy literally knew nothing about military strategy. Like literally, you guys that are watching my video, like watching my stream right now, like, most of you guys understand that the American bomber was stupid. Like, the idea of this creating this giant plane that's just flying across the ocean and just bombing like factories in New York and then flying back to Germany, it's stupid. It's a waste of resources. It's not effective. It's not, something that's, but Hitler was like convinced, oh, this is gonna, destroy like America's like, munitions. Like, this is gonna destroy America's like ability to produce. And he was such an idiot that he thought that all of America's factories were in New York. Like, he was convinced that all of America's factories were in New York. It's like, no, there's plenty of factories in the Midwest that were producing. There was even factories that were all the way in California that were producing. Factories we had in Alaska that were producing during World War II too. So it's like I said, the guy was just like an idiot. The closest thing that that America ever got to being attacked by Nazi Germany during World War II is the U-boat attacks. So a Nazi submarine had actually went all the way across the ocean to New York, and had actually blown up ships in New York's harbor. That actually happened. There were several supply ships that were blown up in New York's harbor by that submarine. So New York did get attacked by German submarines during during World War II. That's the closest that Germany has to ever attacking America. They didn't fly any planes and bomb America during World War II. The what was it? Imperial Japan. Imperial Japan was had done more to attack America during World War II than Germany did. What Imperial Japan did was Imperial Japan had basically sent over like thousands of these balloons, and these giant balloons that would basically like explode, and they would explode the second that they would touch something. Most of these balloons, they would not most of these balloons fell in the ocean, but one of them actually got through and killed a family that was having a picnic in California. And that was like the only, apparently the only casualty from those Japanese war balloons. Hitler was definitely a monster, 100%, Bob Tyler. But the only thing I was telling you is that the only thing that Hitler was smart in is smart that he was able to claw his way to the top, that he was basically able to take power. That's the only point that I was making on that. Just because I call somebody smart doesn't mean that I say that they're a good person. Somebody can be a smart and be a complete evil person, but that's the thing is he might have been smart in politics, might have been smart in being, able to manipulate, politics and taking power and, becoming a dictator, but he was definitely stupid when it came to military strategy. He did not understand basic military strategy at all. What was the name of the ships that were sunk in New York? I don't know. I remember I did a video about that. There was one World War II game that I played, and I did, and in that World War II playthrough, I did do a part where I talked about that Nazi submarine attacking New York, but I forget which video that was that I talked about that on. Somebody might know in the comments here. I forget which video that was. It was like a year or two ago. But I don't know, dude. What I would do is just Google Nazi submarines attack ships outside of New York, and it should come up. It wasn't like right outside the city. It wasn't like right next to Manhattan where the ships got sunk. They left New York Harbor and they traveled a little bit, but it was like a little bit outside of New York. Yeah, and you're right, Ed Dragon. Intelligence does not equal, morality. But do you know which dictator was actually much smarter than Hitler? Much smarter than him? Stalin. And like I said, just because I say that somebody's smart does not mean they're a good person. Smart basically just means they have intellect. It does not mean that they're a good person, moral at all. The reason that Stalin was much smarter than Hitler is because Stalin had completely changed up his policy. Stalin realized that his policies were a disaster and had changed it. Hitler never, really changed his policies. Now, when I say policy specifically, what I'm talking about is wartime policies, because at the very beginning of Operation Barbarossa, so basically in the mid 1930s, what Stalin did was Stalin did this really big purge in the Soviet Union. And so Stalin, it was called the Great Purge. Stalin had executed thousands of generals, officers, scientists, politicians, authors, doctors. So Stalin had executed so many people in the 30s, and he basically accused them of like counter-revolutionary, anti-Soviet activity, when in reality there really wasn't proof that they were involved in any, anti-Soviet activity. The reason that Stalin had executed so many people in the 30s was because he was paranoid that they were after him, and it was just a way to consolidate power. But what happened was Stalin had executed so many really good generals. Like one of the best generals that Stalin executed in the 30s was Tutalevsky. I always pronounce his name wrong. Tutachevsky. I forget how his name sounds. But he was like a one of the best Soviet generals, and he was executed in the 30s. And that guy, if he was alive during World War II, definitely would have been able to help tremendously and reduce Soviet casualties. But anyways, the point that I'm getting about Stalin and Hitler, right? So Stalin had executed so many really good generals in the 30s. And what happened was when Hitler invaded the Soviet Union in Operation Barbarossa, that was June 22nd, 1941. And this is what people don't know. The first year and a half that Germany was invading the Soviet Union, the Soviets were getting destroyed, absolutely obliterated. It was like the first year and a half, the Soviets were just getting completely destroyed by the Nazis, steamrolled by them. It wasn't until Stalingrad in 1943 that they turned it around. February 1943 when Stalingrad, when they lost the Battle of Stalingrad. Yes, Tukhachevsky. Yes, that was him. That's the guy I was talking about. Yes, that's the general. So, anyways, what Stalin did at the beginning of Operation Barbarossa is he basically issued orders: no retreat, you stand your ground. If anybody tries to retreat, you have them shot. And what happened was Stalin was such an idiot that he would have generals executed in the middle of battle. So before the battle was even finished, like literally, he would have generals just shot. Because he was saying, oh, you're losing this battle. The battle's not even done yet. And he'd just have commanders shot. And then Soviet armies would be left with no commanders. And the Germans would encircle them and destroy them. That's what happened at Kiev, the capital of Ukraine. Stalin had the general executed during the Battle of Kiev. And it was one of the worst, Russian defeats in history was Battle of Kiev. It was like a disaster. It was like over 600,000, Soviet soldiers got surrounded. It was like one of their worst disasters they've ever had. But anyways, Stalin actually learned from these mistakes. He did. So, even though Stalin was an evil man, he was a bad person, but he did learn from these mistakes, and he learned, okay, executing all these Soviet generals and telling people that they cannot retreat and shooting anybody who retreats and killing all these generals, it's stupid. And Stalin realized, I'm not a commander, I'm not a general, I don't know the best tactics to do, I'm going to stay out of this. And so Stalin, by 1942, Stalin had basically changed his entire tactical thing, where he basically gave generals more freedom. So Stalin would call up generals, he would call up people like Zhukov and stuff like that, and he would demand updates, sure, but he would still let Zhukov plan, how he wanted. So he wouldn't, get involved in Zhukov's crap and basically tell Zhukov, oh, you gotta attack here, 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 do this, stuff like that. He wouldn't do that. And he largely stayed away from that. Hitler, on the other hand, as the war started, getting worse for Hitler, Hitler started losing more. Hitler interfered more and more in his generals, plans, and generals were just not allowed to plan without Hitler. And Hitler would just issue really stupid, really stupid orders constantly. No retreat, hold till the last man. Generals were not given, free reign. And because Stalin let his generals plan, his generals were just more successful. If Hitler had actually let his generals plan and had not interfered in so many of their affairs, would that have been enough to turn the war around? Probably not, still. But they would have been able to hold out much longer, at least. So that's the thing about Stalin and Hitler, is that Stalin actually let his generals plan, where Hitler did not let his generals plan. Hitler would just tell his generals what to do and would constantly interfere. Hitler, like I said, Hitler thought that he was some kind of military genius when in reality he wasn't. Have I watched Downfall? Yes, I have watched Downfall. Downfall was a great movie. It's one of the best World War II movies ever made. Stalin could have saved his own son, but he chose not to, yes. So Stalin's son got captured by the Nazis during the war, and the Nazis had wanted to exchange Stalin's son for Paulus. Paulus was the German commander at Stalingrad. And Stalin had said about that, he said, why should I, trade a general for a lieutenant? That's what Stalin's words were. And so Stalin abandoned his son. And if you want to know what happened to Stalin's son was taken to they tried to make Stalin's son do Nazi propaganda, but he refused. And then what they did was they took him to a concentration camp. And when he was in a concentration camp, he ran into an electric fence and killed himself. So that's what happened to Stalin's son. And Stalin did not even really care. He didn't really show sadness that his son was dead. So that was, that's a pretty disturbing thing about Stalin, is that you see what a cold-blooded person Stalin was. You see how evil he was. He didn't really even care that his son died. Not one step back. Yeah, that was Stalin's infamous order. What's the point of having leadership if you're not going to let them lead? Exactly, yeah. Hitler was a massive narcissist. And here's the thing is a surprise you said Imperial Japan was the toughest. I'll answer your question in one moment there, Jonathan. But look, about Hitler, is Hitler believed that willpower alone would win the war. He believed that no retreat whatsoever. So Hitler had a very World War I mindset. He fought in World War I, and Hitler basically fought that if you retreat, you're losing. That's what he fought. He fought that if you're retreating, you're losing, and so he fought, if you stay and hold, you're going to basically be able to win. But here's the thing is, sometimes armies get pinned down in really bad locations, and if generals are not able to pull out, that actually risks even more casualties, because they're going to get surrounded. So sometimes when you're in a bad area, you have to pull out. You have to retreat. Doesn't mean that you're losing. It just means that you're regrouping. So just, sometimes when you're in a really bad location, you have to pull out tactically. If you stay there, you're going to get surrounded and you're going to get destroyed. That's what happened to Operation Bagration. Operation Bagration was probably the worst Nazi military disaster of the war. It was the Soviet offensive in summer of 1944, and it was like over 500,000, German troops, and they got surrounded. Completely surrounded by the Soviets. And the whole reason that happened was because Hitler would not let them retreat. He would not let them pull back. Wouldn't let them. And they got surrounded and completely obliterated by the Soviets. And what happened with Stalingrad, when it comes to Stalingrad, the 6th Army, which was one of Germany's most powerful armies, or the army that was in Stalingrad, the 6th Army could have been saved. They could have. In November, the 6th Army could have retreated. If they had actually pulled out of Stalingrad, they could have. And Paulus, the German commander at Stalingrad, he was begging Hitler. He was begging him, please let us pull out. Please let us retreat. It's getting really bad. The winter set in. There was snow all over the place. The German supply lines have been cut off. They were running out of food. They were freezing to death. They were starving to death. And they were running out of ammunition. And Paulus was just begging Hitler, please, let us pull out. because this is really bad. If we don't pull out, the whole army is going to get destroyed. And Hitler, because of his ego, Hitler had a massive ego. He thought, oh, it's Stalingrad. It's named after Stalin. I can't pull out. If I pull out, that's going to be shown as a sign of weakness. And Hitler told Paulus, no, you know, you're going to stay and you're going to hold your ground. And so imagine that. The 6th Army could have been saved if Hitler had let them pull out in November. But by December, 1 month later, the Soviets had actually captured their last airfield. And then at that point, they were completely screwed. They were done. So they had no chance at that point. It was over. They were done. And here's something that's really messed up about the story, guys. So remember how I told you Paulus was that German commander that wanted to pull out, but Hitler wouldn't? You know what Hitler did? Hitler promoted him to field marshal during that. And here's the thing is, Hitler did not promote Paulus to field marshal as some big promotion because he thought he was doing a good job. The reason that Hitler promoted Paulus to field marshal was because in German history, in all of German history, there has never been a field marshal who has surrendered in battle, ever. It has never happened. There has never been a field marshal up until that point that has ever surrendered, a German one. So it even goes back to like Prussia. There's never been a field marshal that's surrendered. Every single German field marshal in history has either won or died in battle. They have never surrendered. And so the reason that Hitler made Paulus a field marshal was so that Paulus would not surrender. That was the whole point, because he would feel the shame of it, like the pressure of it, that he'd be the only, field marshal in German history that would surrender. And he did that so that Paulus would either fight to the death or commit suicide. That was the whole reason that he made Paulus field marshal. It was a really scummy thing to do when you think about that. But that was, Hitler's ego. That was Hitler's mind. But Paulus said that we're not going to die for this corporal. That was his response. We're not going to die for this corporal. And when he says corporal, he's talking about Hitler, because that was Hitler's rank in World War II as a corporal. So he said, we're not going to die for this corporal. And Paulus ended up surrendering to the Soviets. Now, out of the all of the German prisoners that were taken, it was like only 5,000 of them, or 5,000 of them survived Soviet captivity. But here's the thing about that. As messed up as that is, it's better doing that than fighting to the death. Because if they would have fought, every single person would have died. At least surviving, they some had a chance of survival, which, the Soviets weren't very nice to their prisoners. They were pretty brutal to them. But Paulus really had no choice. He had to surrender. He really had nothing to do. It was either that or fight every last man to their death, or take your chances in Soviet captivity. He took his chances in Soviet captivity. So that was that. Now, Hitler was a massive narcissist, very evil man, and it was his stupid commands had destroyed entire armies. Do I think the Yazis would still be around if they stopped at appeasement? You mean Nazis? Thank you, Miku, for the super chat. If the Nazis had never invaded Poland, yes, there's a chance that Nazi Germany might still exist as a country, very much so. It might be like that one psychotic dictatorship in Europe today. But the thing about this is that these hypotheticals don't make sense, and the reason that they don't make sense is because a lot of times people say, like, what if Hitler never attacked Poland? What if Hitler never invaded the Soviet Union? People always like make up these hypotheticals, like what if that never happened? But here's what I'll tell you. Those hypotheticals would have never happened, ever. Like, they have no chance of happening. Here's the thing is, Hitler not invading Poland and not invading the Soviet Union, you have a better chance of winning the lottery than him, like, not going into Poland and the Soviet Union. Because in Hitler's book, Mein Kampf was his Nazi propaganda book. It was his whole ideology written in there. In Mein Kampf, he writes about Lebensraum, which is the German word for living space. And he writes in his book about how Slavs are inferior. Slavs are the, ethnic group that live in Eastern Europe. So Poles, Russians, Ukrainians, Belarusians. He thought that they were inferior peoples. And he basically thought that Germany should control those lands. And that was his whole Nazi ideology, is he basically wanted to colonize Eastern Europe and basically create it as living space for the Germans. That was the whole idea of his whole Nazi ideology. And so he was always going to attack the Soviet Union. He was always going to attack East. Like, that was his whole plan from the start. He was never going to, call that off. He was always going to do that. So when people say, like, what if Hitler didn't invade the Soviet? It makes no sense, because he was always going to. There was never in his a doubt in his mind that he was not going to do that. He never thought in his mind, oh, I shouldn't invade Poland or I shouldn't invade the Soviet Union. He never considered that. He was always going to do that from the start. He never had doubts about that. So that's why I don't like those alternate history channels where they say like, oh, what if Hitler never did this or that? He would have done it either way. Like there's no situation where he wouldn't have invaded, Eastern Europe. That was his whole plan from the start. It details it all in his propaganda book. That was his whole ideology. That's what he thought his life's work was. That he thought that was it. So it was like he was always going to do that no matter what. Am I interested in medieval history? Not as much as, like, more World War II and modern history. Homefront, I want to play that one day. Okay, General, I see that you're you're not in my posse. I guess I forgot to invite you. Hang on. Bounty Wagon. No, I didn't know that, Super. Okay, and Reagan, you were confused about why I said that Imperial Japan is the toughest enemy that, why it's the toughest enemy that America has ever fought. So look, here's what I will tell you. The most powerful enemy that America has ever fought in its history, the most powerful enemy, is the British Empire. That is the most powerful enemy that America has ever fought. It was the most powerful empire that probably existed in history, was the British Empire. But here's the thing is, there's a big difference between powerful and tough. Powerful and tough are not always the same thing. So that's what people don't understand. Powerful just means that you're basically strong. But tough basically means that you can handle, you can handle stuff. You can handle, like, abuse. You can handle fights. That's basically it. You have resistance. That's what basically tough means. It's the difference. It's not powerful and tough isn't the same thing. So Britain was the toughest enemy America's ever fought in its history. I mean, the most powerful enemy was Britain. But the toughest enemy America's ever fought in its history is Imperial Japan. 100%. There's no doubt in my mind it was Imperial Japan. Now, you were asking specifically about the Viet Cong. You said you thought the Viet Cong would be the toughest enemy America's ever fought. No. The Viet Cong, while they were tough enemies, they are not the toughest enemy America's fought. Imperial Japan was way tougher. And the reason that I tell you is the Viet Cong were almost completely destroyed during the Tet Offensive. During the Tet Offensive, America almost destroyed the Viet Cong completely. The reason that the Viet Cong, it was so hard for the U.S. to destroy the Viet Cong was because they were a terrorist group that basically hid within the civilian population. That was it. They pretended to be civilians, and so they didn't wear proper uniforms. That's why it was so difficult to find them. That's why it's so difficult to find the Taliban also when America was in Afghanistan. It's the same concept with the Viet Cong. But now about the Vietnam War. If America wanted to, and this is what people don't know, if America wanted to, it could have ended the Vietnam War in a year. In a year, we could have ended that war, but it didn't. And the reason that America didn't end the Vietnam War in a year, even though they could have, is because they didn't want to invade North Vietnam. If America had invaded North Vietnam, that war would have been over in a year. There's no way that North Vietnam would have been able to resist an American invasion, like a whole full-scale ground invasion from the U.S. Like there would have been a lot of casualties, but they would have lost, and the war would have been over. If the U.S. would have captured Hanoi, it would have been over. That was the capital of North Vietnam. The reason that the U.S. did not invade North Vietnam, the entire Vietnam War, the U.S. never invaded North Vietnam. They never did. They just spent the entire war in South Vietnam. Now the U.S. did do bombings of North Vietnam. They sent planes into North Vietnam and bombed it, sure, but they never actually invaded, North Vietnam. The reason that the U.S. did not invade North Vietnam was for two reasons. The first reason was that the U.S. was scared of China, because China was right above Vietnam, and when the Korean War happened, and the North Korea invaded South Korea, MacArthur pushed into North Korea. He took Pyongyang, which was the capital of North Korea, and he pushed very close to the Chinese border. At that point, China invaded. They sent over 2 million soldiers and overran the U.S. Now, the U.S. was basically scared of that happening again. They were scared of China getting involved and, getting into a conflict with China. But the thing is, that would not have happened. The reason that didn't happen is because China and North Korea had really good relations, where China and Vietnam hated each other. Even though they were both communist countries, they hated each other. The Chinese communists and the Vietnamese communists never liked each other. They hated each other. One of the reasons was because the Vietnamese communists saw China as their historic oppressor, and so even though the Chinese were also communists, they hated them. So the Chinese and Vietnamese communists never got along. So if America would have invaded, North Vietnam, China would not have gotten involved. The second reason that America did not invade North Vietnam is because they did not want the communists to use that as propaganda. Because America framed the Vietnam War as a defensive war, because America was defending South Vietnam. If America was to invade North Vietnam, it would have turned into an offensive war, and at that point, the communists would have used that as propaganda, and they would have, said, "Oh, the America is an imperialist country. It is, invading North Vietnam. So that's why the U.S. didn't invade North Vietnam, because it did not want to be portrayed as an imperialist country, and it was because it was also scared of China. But here's the thing, is the communists still portrayed America as an imperialist country, even though America was just primarily in South Vietnam. So if America wanted to, like I said, it could have ended the Vietnam War in a year, but it didn't. They stalled it, they didn't invade it. If they invaded North Vietnam, it would have been over. Like, the whole thing would have been over. But they didn't want to. They thought that they could defeat South Vietnam just by North Vietnam by staying in South Vietnam the whole war. Now, going back to Imperial Japan, your other argument. Yes, Japan was way tougher than Vietnam. Way tougher. And the reason is because, like I said, if America wanted to, they could have ended the Vietnam War in a year. The reason that it dragged out for so long was because how they fought that war. They defended instead of going on the offensive. When it comes to Imperial Japan, though, let me just do this here, or right here. Okay. So now, when it comes to Imperial Japan, right, guys, Japan was a very large empire that had stretched over several countries, and Japan had a very large air force, very large navy, very large army. So Japan was not Japan was a much tougher enemy to deal with than Vietnam. But it's also the resistance between Vietnam and Japan. Now, let's take a look at the Viet Cong, for example. People think that the Viet Cong were the toughest guys. Do you know what the difference is between the Viet Cong and a Japanese soldier, the main difference between them? The difference is that the Viet Cong soldier, they're aggressive, sure. The Japanese soldier is aggressive. But the difference is that the Viet Cong soldier wants to live. That's the difference between them. The Japanese soldier does not always want to live. That's the difference. The Viet Cong soldiers are not going to do suicide attacks. They're not going to, blow themselves up. They're not going to fly planes into American ships. They're not going to do stuff like that. The Japanese soldier does not care if he lives or dies. The Japanese soldier just wants to do his duty for the emperor. They believe that the emperor is a god, and they are going to sacrifice their life for the emperor. The Viet Cong, they want to live, though. That's what I say about them. Is they're not going to, do these crazy suicide attacks. Now, I know there have been some suicide attacks with the Viet Cong, but it was not on the same scale that you had it with the Imperial Japanese. So that's the main difference between the Japanese and the Vietnamese. The Japanese soldiers did not want to live. The Vietnamese soldiers wanted to live. That was the main difference between them. When you're fighting an enemy that does not care if they live or die, that is the scariest enemy that you can possibly fight. And that's why I say that Imperial Japan is the toughest enemy that America has fought in its history, because of their resistance. If you look at the Japanese soldiers on these islands that we went on, they were starving on these islands. The Japanese soldiers had barely enough food to eat on these islands. They didn't even have enough water. And they had very low supplies, even very low ammunition. And think about it. They had low ammunition, low supply, low food. They were starving. They were thirsty. Under any circumstances, if you are in an army and your army is starving and your army is thirsty and you are running low on supplies, most armies are going to surrender at that point. They're going to give up. They're going to say, there's no point. We're going to all get destroyed if we fight. We're weak. We're tired. We have no supplies. We're going to surrender. And that's what happened in Europe. In Europe during World War II, when the Americans had surrounded Cherbourg. Cherbourg was this coastal town that was in France. Cherbourg had a German garrison of 40,000 troops. And the U.S. surrounded Cherbourg. Now, Hitler had ordered the German garrison to fight to the death. But the German garrison, when they realized they were out of supplies and they were surrounded, you know what they did? They surrendered. Almost all 40,000 of them surrendered. If the Japanese were in Cherbourg, they would have all fought to the end. Almost all of them. And that's the difference between the Japanese and the German soldier there. Were German soldiers tough during World War II? Sure, yes. But not as tough as the Japanese. The most German soldiers are not going to die for Hitler. A lot of German soldiers, are they going to fight for Hitler? Do they believe in Hitler? Sure. But are they going to die for Hitler? No, a lot of them aren't. So the only guys that are willingly going to sacrifice their lives for him and fight till the very end, even when they know they're going to lose, are the SS fanatics, like the fanatics in the Nazi party. Those guys, yeah, they'll fight till the very end. But, the average Wehrmacht soldier, they want to live. They're not going to, sacrifice their life meaninglessly for Hitler. And so that's why America took so many prisoners. We took thousands of prisoners in Western Europe, and there really wasn't a threat of that. But here's the thing about this. When you take Japanese prisoners, there's a threat of that. The American soldiers would force Japanese prisoners to strip, like take off all their clothes a lot of times. And the reason for that is because the Japanese would blow themselves up. They would get right next to American soldiers, pretend to surrender, and then when American soldiers were about to, apprehend them, they would blow themselves up. They did that a lot of times. You know what happened at the end of World at War when Roebuck gets killed? That Japanese soldier that's surrendering and then blows him up with the grenade? That happened in real life. That was a very common thing that happened. They would fake surrenders and they would blow themselves up. That's why American soldiers shot Japanese soldiers a lot of times when they surrendered, because they were scared of that they were going to blow themselves up. So that's what I'll say is that is when you're fighting an enemy like that, That is literally the toughest enemy that America's ever fought. Like an enemy that, like, they believe their leader, the Emperor, is a god. They're willing to sacrifice their lives for him. They don't care if they're gonna live or die. They think that it's actually worse to surrender than die. So that's basically what I'll say. Is that they think that surrender is worse than death in their culture. So that's basically what I'll say about that. Is that Imperial Japan is 100% the toughest enemy America's ever fought. Is it true foreign POWs cried eating American food? Yes, both Japanese and Germans could not believe how much food they got offered as prisoners. They actually got fed better as prisoners than they did in their own armies. That is true. I don't like your varied stance on invasion and interventionism. What do you mean, sure?
I just don't know. Just more of the same around here. It wasn't the bad, we wouldn't know when it was good.
Oh yeah, well, a lot of both France and Britain used colonial troops during World War II, and they treated them like crap. That is true, Gunnar.
I can't prove it, but the bank's stealing my money. I swear, every time I walk out of there, my ledger's lower and lower.
No, I know Stalker, but I haven't played the games. I'll see you, Minion Dave. I like Donovan in Mafia 3. Just because the U.S. lost to the Viet Cong does not mean that the Viet Cong are the toughest enemy that we fought. You know, I mean, the U.S. lost Afghanistan too, but you know, the Imperial Japanese are way tougher than the Taliban. Also, these Senegalese troops found out that the Free French refused to give them back pay. They mutinied, and the French proceeded to massacre them. It's horrible. You know, France also committed crimes against your country, Vietnam. They tried to colonize Vietnam after World War II, when Vietnam just wanted independence and wanted freedom. And the thing is, everybody hated the French in Vietnam. Everybody did. If you were a Vietnamese communist, or you were a Vietnamese, nationalist or a Vietnamese capitalist, it did not matter. Almost every single Vietnamese person pretty much hated France. So that's the one thing that the South Vietnam and North Vietnam agree on, is that they both hated France. France just sucked. It was like, stealing their stealing their resources, abusing their country. France built some pretty nasty prisons in Vietnam also. The French did that. But anyways, when it comes to France though, is France can be blamed for communism taking power in Vietnam. They could be blamed for that. Because if France had actually left the country, perhaps the communists would have never taken power in the country. So France, I do blame France for that. I think that France is a huge part of the reason that the communists came to power in Vietnam. Maybe Vietnam wouldn't have had to deal with the communists today if France wasn't so greedy. But that's just, that's what happened with France intervening in Vietnam. I read about a female Vietnamese sniper. She noticed that if you shot one American, then others would run up to him and cry a lot. She was able to pick off more after that. That is the Apache. That's the sniper that you're thinking of. And she was killed by White Feather. So that was a female Viet Cong sniper. Now, about her, the Apache was evil. She was. So it's one thing being a sniper. Snipers aren't necessarily evil, but what the Apache did, how she fought, was very much evil. So, and here's the thing, what you didn't read about Emily. What the Apache would do is the Apache would have Americans tied up to trees. So, like, it was captured American prisoners that were tied to trees, and she would torture them and have the Americans just cry and scream from those trees while they're hanging from those trees. And basically, she would use that as bait to lure out other American soldiers and to shoot them. That's a war crime. So, she was a very sadistic person. She enjoyed torturing American prisoners. She was a horrible person, a very evil person. White Feather was an American sniper. He killed her. And the thing is, after Whitefeather killed her, he sniped her body multiple times. So he shot her body with his sniper rifle multiple times to make sure that she was dead. He wanted to 100% confirm the kill. So he shot her body multiple times. Now, about that is Whitefeather, the American sniper, he said that was the only time in his life that he was happy to kill someone. So you have to think about that. That's really what he said. If the American sniper said it was the only time in his life he was happy to kill someone was when he killed that Vietnamese sniper. Would you consider Johann von Ribbentrop the most evil diplomat ambassador? Yeah. I mean, he's definitely up there. One of the most evil, despicable ambassadors. He was a massive liar, a narcissist. He would lie to other countries. He would tell other countries, oh, Germany has no problem with your country. We won't invade your country. There's several countries he told that to as ambassador. Literally he broke all of his promises, all of his agreements. He was also the one who signed the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact with Stalin. So, when the Nazis allied with the Soviets early on in the war, Hitler sent Ribbentrop over. There's a picture of Ribbentrop or Stalin where he signed that. So, yeah, Ribbentrop was a, massive piece of crap. I haven't decided yet, Vanny. I'll play it one day. I'll play it before GTA 6 comes out. What did Napoleon think of George Washington and the American Revolution? Napoleon admired George Washington. He did. He greatly respected him and liked him. But Napoleon thought that George Washington should have seized power. That's what he thought. Napoleon admired how George Washington stood up to Britain. He admired that heavily. When George Washington died, Napoleon called a day of mourning in France. So that is true about that. But Napoleon did not believe in America's system. So even though he greatly respected Washington and he admired Washington, he did not believe in the American system. He did not believe that a republic would succeed. He thought a republic was a disaster. I mean, bayonet charges did happen in World War II, but they were much more common in the Pacific than in Europe, demigod. You got the platinum for Red Dead 2. Oh, that's good. Red Dead 2 is a tough game to get platinum in. The Gurkhas were really tough soldiers, Gunner. Very tough. Probably the toughest colonial troops Britain had. Ranking the GTA protagonist from least evil to most evil. Well, most evil will probably be Claude on that list. Least evil will probably be Vic Vance. One day I'll get 100% at Red Dead. Do I know about Muammar Gaddafi, the dictator of Libya? Yes, I know about him. Solid Snake, Incog. Could the collapse of the Ayatollah's regime in Iran cause more problem for Russia's war in Ukraine? Yeah, but I don't think that the Iranian regime is going to collapse anytime soon. Why did the Yamato fail? You're talking about that large battleship that Japan had? Is that what you're talking about? That thing got sunk in 1944. I should have bet higher. My favorite movie that Robert De Niro was in, probably A Bronx Tale. Oh, hi to Steph, April. I can look into it, Gunner. Metal Gear Solid 5, yes. When I replay Scarface, will I do the remastered mod? I'll try to get it, yes, Mr. Green. I couldn't install it last time. Last time I tried to install it, it wouldn't work. Are you interested in the Enlightenment when they tried to replace God and religion with science? Are you talking about the Cult of the Magnificent, or I think that's what it was called, or the Cult of the Supreme Being? I think it's Cult of the Supreme Being. Let me see. Yes, it's Cult of the Supreme Being. That's what it was. So Cult of the Supreme Being was a religion that revolutionary France tried to create. Do you think Pol Pot despised Ho Chi Minh? Oh, 100%. You know, especially after, Vietnam invaded, too. Ho Chi Minh, what year did Ho Chi Minh die? Let me see, when did he die? He died... Oh, he died in 69, so he didn't oversee the, invasion of Cambodia. So I was wrong on that. But, yes, probably. You know, Pol Pot believed that there was... The thing about Pol Pot is Pol Pot believed there was lands in southern Vietnam that belonged to Cambodia, and so he sent his, thugs, the Khmer Rouge, into there and started mass murdering. Saddest moments in the Mafia games, in your opinion? Tommy's death, probably. Wow, we had the same cards. Damn.
Oh, hell, the missus has me out hunting damn near every day, wants to sell enough hides to send the kid to school. I tell you, boy.
Let me check the poll right now. Let's see what the poll says. What game did people vote for? Was it Yakuza 3 remastered or Kiwami? Let's see. It was Yakuza 3 remastered. Okay. I'm gonna do Yakuza 3, guys, remastered, but when I do Yakuza 3 though, we will do it probably in like a month or two. When I finish Yakuza Kiwami 2, I want to take a little bit of a break from Yakuza because we did 2 Yakuza games in a row, so I want to play something else. You know what I think I'm going to play? I think I'm going to do a playthrough of 50 Cent Blood in the Sand, if anyone knows that one. That's a game I've always wanted to do for... It's not a very long game, so I think it'll be a perfect playthrough to do in between. What do you think of General Braddock, Washington's former superior? Scumbag. Braddock was a scumbag. Braddock was a bit of a narcissist. He did not want to listen to George Washington. Braddock pushed his soldiers to the limit. He pushed his soldiers to the breaking point. When he did the Braddock's expedition, it was a disaster. And here's the thing about Braddock. There's a very common belief that George Washington was the one who killed Braddock. So that's never been fully proven. Some people think that George Washington killed Braddock because Braddock was a very incompetent commander, and he was getting his soldiers killed. And this is when George Washington was in the British Army. He died in battle, and some people think George Washington shot him so he could take command. But if George Washington shot him, then it was definitely the right thing to do because Braddock was going to get everyone killed. I'm gonna fold here. Also, the thing about George Washington is George Washington managed to save his army. When Braddock died, he managed to reorganize the army and save it. And here's the thing is, George Washington was never recognized for that. He was never given a medal for that. He said that his victory was because of luck. It wasn't really a victory, it was more a retreat, but he managed to save the rest of the army. So he was never given full credit for that. He felt very sidelined by that. And one of the reasons that George Washington was discriminated against so heavily was because he was an American. That was the primary reason. There was a difference. George Washington was not in the British Army. What George Washington was is he was in the colonial army. That was from the colonies, the 13 colonies, that was assigned to the British Army. And that they were treated like crap. They were treated like garbage. And Americans could never really get into the British Army. They couldn't. It was like a birth thing where the British said, oh, you're not, from Britain. You're not born in British soil. You should not be in the British Army. That was, Ace and Queen here. The Godfather Remastered rumor? What, a game? Is it worth it I upgrade to PS5 Pro for GTA 6? If you don't have a PS5 right now, get the PS5 Pro. But if you have one already, there's really no point. Oh, great. Oh, this sucks. Okay, I'm gonna leave here. Austria, gunner. I think that, I don't know if you could fully compare them, that Edgar. I think they're very different games. Ace Combat 1 was a great game. I still have the PS1 disc for that. Max Payne 1 and 2 is getting remastered. I guess I will be, Jim Crow was a really stupid law that happened. It was unconstitutional. It was and it's one of the stupidest and worst things America has done. It was unconstitutional. The government can't tell people what neighborhood they can live in. They can't tell people use a separate bathroom, a separate bus seat. Like it's just stupid. It's wrong. It's it was dumb. It's un-American. So Jim Crow was really stupid. Let me see. I'll answer a few questions here before I go. It's going good, Top. How are you doing? Yeah, I'm wrapping up the stream. Great stream, Pro. Peace out. Thank you, Mr. Bobman. Worst war crime that America did in World War II, probably the Biscari Massacre. It was a bunch of Italian prisoners were executed in Sicily by the Americans when they surrendered. And that was, Patton had said is that, show the enemy no mercy. And some American soldiers were saying, oh, is what General Patton said. AI-generated Revolutionary War documentary. Oh, God. In 5 months, guys, in 5 months, it will be America's 250th birthday. This 4th of July is going to be crazy. It is going to be crazy. What I'm probably going to do on 4th of July this year is I'll probably play Assassin's Creed 3. That's probably what I'll do a playthrough of. The female gorilla I mentioned was different from Apache. Perhaps it was a war crime, but the Americans came to her country, so she does not have to feel guilty. Well, she's a communist. If she's a communist, she's a bad person by default, Emilito. You know, you can make the argument that maybe the United States shouldn't have been in the Vietnam War, but if somebody's a communist, they're not a good person. If somebody fights in a communist army, they're not a good person. Let me see. Can you do a playthrough on Watch Dogs 2 if you can? Yes, I'll do it one day. Does the Ballad of Gay Tony chronologically take place after the main story? Yes, well, it takes place during it, but the final mission is after GTA 4's story. What do I know about the Boston Massacre? A bit about it. The Boston Massacre can be blamed on both sides, but I blame that more on the British side, because if the British soldiers were not there, it wouldn't have been provoking the crowd. Okay, guys, so I think I'm probably gonna head out here. We're gonna do another when we finish Yakuza Kiwami 2. We're gonna have another fun playthrough to do, and I'm probably gonna have a video on that that PvP video this weekend that you guys have been waiting for. No, I haven't, Vanny. But I guess we will be going here, guys. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today on the stream. If you guys enjoyed the stream, do drop a like, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care, everyone, and have a wonderful day, guys.